Hey guys, we're going to be going through a pretty simple video series on effective exercises. They're not going to be big compound exercises like bench press, deadlift, or squat, or power cleans. Nothing real complex. Just generally, I don't want to say an isolation exercise, but a single joint movement that can be used as a supplemental exercise or an auxiliary exercise to improve your big lifts and do some hypertrophy, build some muscle mass, and get stronger in the process. And they're going to be exercises that you can pretty much do just about anywhere. As you can see, I'm in my apartment gym right now. There's not much in here. There's actually a fair amount of dumbbells, which is nice. And they do have a good set of medicine balls behind me there. But it's simple. There's nothing real fancy about it, anything like that. And so what we're going to do today is the dumbbell tricep extension. And so when I say dumbbell tricep extension, people think, is he talking about overhead? Is he talking about a dumbbell kickback? What does he mean by that? I mean a lying dumbbell tricep extension. So as you'll see in a couple moments, I recorded the videos earlier, so really loud. I couldn't get any good audio, but so it's me using a bench. And the key points that I really want you to think about, and you'll be able to see this, and hopefully I can do some voiceover, is with the dumbbell tricep extension, the reason it's better, in my opinion, than a barbell tricep extension is your grip. So with a barbell, your grip is pronated or slightly pronated. If you have an easy curl bar, that puts a lot of stress on the tendons in your elbow. And you're not able to, for a lot of people, it really just, it causes a lot of stress in that elbow joint right there, and they can get tendonitis elbow. They can get tennis elbow. I can't remember the technical name for tennis elbow right now. I apologize. But what this does is I like to use it with a neutral grip because it puts our tricep in a position that's not overstretched and it's not understretched. Because the function of our bicep is to supinate, or to supinate and to pronate. And so when you supinate, you shorten the bicep, which means you're extending or lengthening the tricep. And so when we pronate, with our palm down, that means our bicep is lengthened and our tricep is going to be shortened a little bit. All right, so they're antagonistic muscles. So when you're curling up, your tricep is extending. When you're extending your arm, your bicep is lengthening and your tricep is shortening. And so by putting that neutral position, we're not stretching it, overstretching it, or understretching it. We're keeping a nice neutral position. Our wrist is in a more stable position as well. That'll reduce any kind of wrist pain. And so all the movements I'm going to be doing these dumbbells are with a neutral grip, so our palms are facing each other. And then another point that I like to keep is your elbows. My elbows aren't straight up in the sky. As you can see, they're slightly back toward my head. The reason I do that is when I extend my arm completely, the tricep, when I extend my arm completely, there's still tension on the tricep, and the weight is on the tricep instead of the joint. So we're gonna relieve some more joint pain there. Making sure we're always going down to a nice full range of motion as much as we can without straining the muscles, straining your joints. Anything that causes any kind of acute pain, you really want to stay away from, because over time that acute pain will probably turn into chronic pain down the line. And one last point is, with a barbell, even when you come back and you have a barbell, people's elbows tend to kind of flare out, so they get all chicken winged. And so what you can do here is I want you to really focus with the dumbbells, even with a barbell, but with the dumbbell specifically, I want you to think about closing those elbows in, creating some internal rotation. All right, so I want you to kind of close the gap between your arms here. So actually it's external rotation. So you're going to be externally rotating so that your elbow comes in towards your torso. So instead of having our elbow out here and we're extending, our elbow's in here and we're extending. That'll put more focus also on the longer head of our tricep instead of the short head of our tricep. Those are just a couple key points to keep in mind. And again, there's a dumbbell tricep extension. We'll have the exercises coming up in several different variations. We're going to do a flat bench, an incline bench, a decline bench, both arms at once, one arm at once, with a fat grip, and with a band, and there's several other variations we can do as well. Well, I'll see you in a couple of moments. Alright, so we're going to be going through the exercise today. I was able to get some headphones and do a voiceover. As you can see, I'm grabbing the dumbbells, lying back, a neutral grip, emphasizing that neutral grip. My elbows are slightly back, they're not directly forward. And when I extend my arms, they're not directly over my chest. As you can see, there's that angle, that backward angle. And what that does is it keeps tension on the triceps as they extend instead of loading the joint. Right? And always make sure you have a nice firm grip and you're keeping your core tight all the way from your feet, through your hips and knees, through your core, your abdomen, into your shoulders, keeping those shoulders tight as well. And what I did here is I put a dumbbell underneath the bench. We didn't have any recline benches in our gym here. We put a dumbbell. Now we have a decline. And it's just one way to change it up. If you have a hard time throwing your elbows back, getting that slight backward angle, this is a great way to emphasize that. If you have some limited mobility, throwing that a weight or making a decline bench will make it easier to achieve that backward angle that we're looking for. And now I'm going to go to my favorite variation, which is the incline. I'm not sure why it's my favorite. It just feels the best to me. And one thing that I really want to emphasize is it doesn't need to be a really high incline. It's enough to get you there, and it does require a little bit more mobility because you have to throw those elbows back. And as you noticed, I kind of propped myself up so that my head was almost off the top of the bench because you want the dumbbells to hang towards the back of the bench. So you're going to have to kick yourself up and your butt isn't going to be laying in the seat. Now I'm going into a one-arm variation. Again, keeping constant tension on that dumbbell, on the tricep. I'm going through this pretty quickly because I don't want it to be... So now I'm adding a fat grip. Fat grips are really great, especially if you have any kind of elbow tendonitis. This really helps with centration throughout all the joints and what we like to call a radiation, because you have to squeeze that dumbbell really hard. So you're activating your forearm, your tricep, your bicep, everything that's around the joint that's moving, you're activating it a little bit more. So there's a lot more stabilization and that joint's not able to move around as much. So back grip is a great variation if you have any kind of joint pains or joint issues. Also, it's just nice to have a badass grip. And then this is a great one if your elbow is tender on in the bottom portion, because you can overload the top portion of the movement and really knock out a heavier weight at the top by adding a band. Here I have a micro mini band from Elite FTS. Again, just keeping constant tension on that tricep. Nothing to it but to do it.